Welcome to Bhojan Samvad one-to-one show. We have with us Firoz Mithiborwala, who is a well-known expert on the international affairs. So today in Bhojan Samvad, we'll be talking to him about Lebanon. We would like to know the history of Lebanon, particularly post-war, World War history, and how it was partitioned, and the civil war in Lebanon, invasion of Israel, and the impact of the post 7 October Gaza uprising. So we'll be discussing that why this country of 4 million people is so important for restoring peace in the whole region. And we'll be talking about why uh, Israel is not taking peace efforts forward and continue to attack Lebanese forces, Hezbollah, and they say that till the Hezbollah is eliminated, we will not be going to stop our attacks. So, what is the background? So, welcome, Firoz Mithiborwala ji. And my first question is that what are the main hurdles of for implementation of MOU that is signed between the US and Iran in context of Lebanon?
Yes. Today we are going to have a detailed discussion, as you said, on Lebanon and why is it so crucial to the region and the world, actually. A small country of 40 lakh people, or 4.5 million people. And but why is, even the Iran-US talks actually stuck on the Lebanese issue? Now, what has happened is in the MOU signed between Trump and Iran, which JD Vance is also part and Iranian senior leaders signed. There they've signed of the 14 points. The first point is actually to do with regional peace, ceasefire, and the withdrawal of Israel from Lebanese territory. And Iran has said that until that happens, I'm not going to sign the final agreement after 2 months, 3 months, or whatever. So that is how crucial the Lebanese issue is. But then what Trump has gone and done, that another agreement has got signed on the 26th of June in Washington, where Israel and the Lebanese, the kind of leadership, Aoun and Nawaf Salam, who are totally sold out, they've signed an agreement saying that first Hezbollah has to be disarmed and then Israel can withdraw from Lebanon. It is such a horrible agreement. So Trump is playing a double game. He's signing something else with Iran and he's signing something else with Israel and Lebanon in Washington. But I'll come to that later. First, let us understand the post-World War I, World War II history about what really happened to this country. Actually, we keep on saying that the first two countries to be partitioned along religious lines were India, Pakistan, and Israel, Palestine, Israel. But actually, before that, Syria was partitioned along Muslim Christian lines and Sunni Shia lines. That was the first game we see post World War I, where out of Syria, Lebanon is created and a Christian state is created, which should be committed to France and Britain. So what happened when the Ottoman Empire, the Turkish Empire collapsed, when they lost the war in World War I to Britain and France, then these areas were taken over by, the Sykes-Picot agreement between Britain and France, that we will talk of Arab nationalism and freedom, but we will take over these countries. So Syria went into the hands of France, and Palestine was in the hands of Britain. Okay, so what the French did is they created a Lebanon out of Syria to create a Christian Muslim division. So that was done, and then they also created a Sunni Shia division in Lebanon, and I'll tell you how. I'm now just going to concentrate on Lebanon. So what the French did, they created a constitution called a confessional constitution, basically a religious constitution, not a secular constitution. France is very secular, but they created a very religious constitution in Lebanon. Okay, so what they did is that they kept the Christians as one block, giving them 50% of the seats, and they divided the Muslims into two parts, Sunni and Shia, and gave them another 50%. And here you have actually, so Shias was actually the majority. They are between 35 to 40%. They have the least seats out of the 128 seats. Out of the 128 seats, they have the least seats. The Christians, who are now down to 35%, actually have 50% of the seats, and then the Sunni and the Druze and so on. So what they did is they divided the country into a religious and a sectarian mindset that you have to operate within that kind of mindset. So that has been very disastrous for Lebanon. The second part is why is Lebanon so crucial? Because Lebanon continues to be, because of Hezbollah and Amal and the leftist and the socialist and the nationalist forces in Lebanon, who continue to be part of the resistance for the liberation of Palestine and aligned with Iran. Nobody is a proxy out here. They are all equal allies. Of course, Iran is the biggest force, undoubtedly, but they are all allies in the resistance. So the other part is that let us understand what happened post World War I. Firstly, in 1920, a French mandate was declared by the League of Nations. So France was handed over Lebanon. 1926, a Lebanese Republic. Then in 1943, the Declaration of Independence. And 1946, you had the full evacuation of French forces. So in 1946, an independent Lebanon arises. That carried on. But by the time we know that the Israel-Palestine problem had emerged a lot, and Yasser Arafat, after creating in 1964 the Fatah, they were operating mainly from Jordan. So you would have, the Palestinian resistance with operations within occupied Palestine, Israel, and then the Israeli army invaded Jordan, and you actually had Ziaul Haq and the Pakistani army doing an operation in Jordan called Black September, where then the Palestinian forces had to leave Jordan and go to Lebanon. Now, when they went to Lebanon, a problem started in Lebanon, especially with the Christian Phalangists and the Maronite, who are mainly aligned with France, because they see themselves as the inheritors of the Crusaders and more French than Arab, though now it's, of course, returning, but that was the way it was. So then in 1975 to 1990, because of the Palestinian issue mainly, a civil war started. Okay, a civil war started for 50, and I have friends over there who have been part of it. So then finally there was a solution in 1990, what is called the Taif agreement, and how to divide power and what the role of the Palestinians in Lebanese society. Actually, in Lebanon there are a lot of employment opportunities which the Lebanese cannot get. There are lots of issues to do with how the Palestinians in Lebanon, how they can live in. It's very difficult, but yes. And then in 1978, what happened that the Israelis decided that they'd have to now target the Palestinians in Lebanon. So 1978 was an invasion, but in 1982 you had a big invasion where Israeli forces reached Beirut. They surrounded Beirut, and you know it better than me that there were two camps, refugee camps in Beirut called Sabra Shatila. They were surrounded by the Israelis, and then the Christian Phalangists went and massacred at least 10,000 Palestinians. So for 35 days, the Palestinian fighters fought, but then the Americans made a deal with the Palestinians that Yasser Arafat and the militia fighters will have to leave and go to Tunisia. When they were leaving on the ship, that is the time this massacre took place in Beirut. So then that was it and then from 1982 to 2000, for 18 years, Israel was occupying southern Lebanon. Okay, there was no Hezbollah in 82. So in 82, Hezbollah arises as a force. They begin to resist, and it took them 18 years, but they defeated and removed Israel from southern Lebanon. Okay, and they had collaborators from within the Lebanese also called the South Lebanese Army, the SLA, who were basically again the Christian Phalangists aligned with Israel. But even after Hezbollah, liberated, they never took revenge, and they tried to integrate Sunni, Shia, and Christians of Lebanon together. So that was the big victory.
Firoz Bhai, I would like to ask you who all supported Hezbollah, and because defeating Israel or compelling them to withdraw is a big issue. and it's a military thing. So who all supported Hezbollah? That is very, very important. So is
Yes,
the
very,
Palestinian fighters were there, and who were all involved from the Middle East countries supporting Hezbollah? Iranians were there or not? These are the questions which rises in the minds of the viewers. So
very important question. See, basically, the Hezbollah emerged in post 1982, as I said. The other force that was already there is called the Amal Party. It's another Shia party in the Lebanese south. The leader is Nabi Berri. We all heard his name from childhood. The third force was the Communist Party of Lebanon, the Socialist Parties of Lebanon, the Progressive Left, and Nationalist Secular Force of Lebanon. They were all part of the resistance. And of course, the remnants of the Palestinians. These were the internal forces. But who all supported? Syria was a big supporter of the resistance under the Assad leadership. And of course, Iran by the time was only emerging, because remember, 1979 there was a revolution in Iran. The Shah had to leave, and then the new government took over Iran. But as soon as the government took over in Iran, the Americans and the Saudis got Saddam Hussein to come and attack Iran. So that long war of 8 to 10 years was very disastrous for everybody, for Iran and Iraq. Iran emerged strong. Iraq is still kind of in trouble. But even during the time of war, Iran was helping the Hezbollah. Okay, so this entire alliance of Iran, the Lebanese Hezbollah, Syria, and Palestine, this bloc was, emerging, and the target for Israel was to break this axis of resistance. Okay, so that is why what they say, Hamas has to give up its weapons, Hezbollah has to give up its weapons. Then they targeted Syria, got rid of Assad. Now today Syria is out of the resistance axis. Okay, otherwise,
I have a question here again.
yes.
The Americans or the U.S. administration call it the axis of evil. So how and why they call it? Because you are calling it as a axis of resistance, and they call it as an axis of evil.
Actually, you're right. Basically, we call Israel, America, Britain, France as the axis of evil, because they are the colonizers, they are the oppressors, they are the imperialist powers. And the ones fighting for freedom are our freedom fighters. It's very simple. So for them, Nelson Mandela was a problem, Mahatma Gandhi was a problem, Bhagat Singh was a problem. So we know how the mind functions. So, and now after 7th of October and the war on Iran, everybody knows who the axis of evil is and who the evil powers are after the genocide and what they have been doing. So, in the age of social media, the so-called corporate media cannot control the narrative anymore. Nobody watches CNN. We are all on our social media. Nobody watches the Godi media. We are all watching independent channels like Bhavlan Samad and so many other fantastic channels in our country and the world. So the narrative is changing. Even now, America doesn't use the term axis of evil and all that. All those days are gone. Now today, America is talking to Iran. America is actually talking to Hezbollah. America is talking to Hamas. All that they gave Taliban back to Afghanistan. So all this terror and evil and all is just all, just for show. It's all a very distinct part. Anyway, so then what happens that in the year 2000, as I said, 1982 to 2000, Israel is defeated. And actually, that was the first massive defeat where they had to withdraw from Lebanon. Okay. But also note that Israel never created any strong fortifications on the Lebanese border and the Israeli border in the north. So Hezbollah knew they were going to come back sometime or the other. And Hezbollah was preparing. Now, what happened was, why I know this war properly, because during the war of 2006, a delegation of India, we went to Beirut during the war. We went to Damascus, and it's a 2.5-hour ride by car. It took us about 24 hours to get in, because it was a war zone. So Seema Mustafa was there, Pravir Purkas was there, Kamal Mehta Chinoy, joint delegation of CPI, CPM, in fact, even Vijay Chavan from Bombay, our comrade from Yusuf Ali Center, she was also part of it. So we all had gone during the war of 2006. Now, what happened is that Israel came with a massive 20,000 soldiers, Navy, Air Force against Hezbollah, and they wanted to go all the way to Beirut. But also, Israel's target is to take the Litani River in the south, because it is about water also. The Jordan River, the Litani River. So water is a scarce resource, and they wanted this river. Now, when the war started, it started on the 11th of July 2006. I don't forget that day because there was a massive train blast in Bombay. 7 trains were blown up. I connected also because for the next 7 to 10 days, it was all about the terror attack and not about what was happening on the Lebanese border. Okay. But when the war started, I thought again they will reach Beirut. But I was surprised that the Israelis got stuck at the Lebanese border in a village called Bint Jabel. So what Hezbollah was doing, and now we know the strategy, they were deep into the tunnels underground. Israelis had no idea. And they also had Russian anti-coordinate tank missiles. So they blew up so many Israeli tanks. And on a soldier-to-soldier basis, the Hezbollah are far better courageous fighters because Israel only knows to fight from the air. Big bombs, fighter jets, missiles. But on the ground, they are very, very scared kind of soldiers. Okay. So in that 35-day war, Hezbollah won that war. And Hezbollah became a global, name. And all that thing about Hezbollah being a terrorist organization and Islamic jihadi and all that kind of, debate, went away. And Hezbollah became part of the larger mainstream at that time of the resistance progress movements worldwide, as Hamas has become today. But after the after the victory of 2006, because Syria played a major role in that. See, Syria is where weapons are manufactured, where Iranian weapons via Syria are supplied to Hezbollah. So Syria had to be taken out of the equation. Okay. So now they call Assad a dictator and an autocrat and authoritarian and whatnot and all. But in 2007, President Bashar al-Assad was invited to Paris. Okay. As the great modern face of the Arab world. And he was given an offer that you move out of Iran Hezbollah axis, you stop supporting the Palestinians, no sanctions on you, but you become part of the Western Bloc. Assad refused, and the Baath Party refused. The Baath Party is very strongly Arab nationalist and secular. Okay, so then what happened? Then one of the French, British, American agenda, Israeli agenda of getting rid of President Assad and the Baath Party, and the second agenda of Saudi and Qatar wanted a pipeline. So billions, the Qataris gave Turkey at least $10 billion to create a global jihad. So ISIS and Al Qaeda, with the help of CIA, Mossad, Saudi, Turkish, UAE, Qatar intelligence. Now Syria is a country of 2.5 crore people. It's a little bigger than Delhi in terms of population. Now they had to fight all the global powers. Okay. And 80 countries, ISIS, it became madness, latest weapons and everything. So from 2011-12, that big problem started, and finally Syria collapsed in 2024. Jolani, who was Baghdadi's friend, he was number 2 in the Al-Qaeda in Iraq, today now is the president of Syria. So this shows the commitment of Israel and America and Britain and France to fighting terror, where they have ISIS and Al-Qaeda sitting in Damascus. Okay. They wanted this to happen in Iraq as well. In 2014, when America had to withdraw from Iraq, so Obama had to create the threat of terror. I can't leave Iraq because now there's ISIS in Iraq. Okay. So finally, who defeated ISIS in Iraq? It was Iran-backed Iraqi militia like the People's Mobilization Unit, the Hassan Shabi, the Taif Hezbollah. All these are movements that arose in the Iraqi army trained by America was very weak. I mean, there were reports of ISIS standing 2 kilometers away from Baghdad. So it was the Shia militias in which the Sunnis were also there, the Christians were also there, who basically defeated the ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Iraq. And after facing defeat, they all went to Syria. In Libya also, they did the same thing against Gaddafi. They created all these ISIS, Al-Qaeda in Libya also. And after they finished off Gaddafi, they got them to Turkey and then into Syria. So Syria was the main target. At finish of Syria, so this entire axis of Palestine, Lebanon, then the physical route of Syria is out now. Then you have Iraq, then you have Iran, and then you have Yemen. So this is the axis of resistance. But something is happening in Syria again because Trump said that Israel does not need to fight Hezbollah. Let Syria take care of it. Okay. So, but Jolani has refused. He's realized that they don't want to get into this. The Syrian people will not allow them. I mean, it will create a problem for Jolani itself in Syria. But then there are Uzbek and Uyghur and all these ISIS fanatics who can be sent from there, which is still a problem. Okay, so let us see what happens with the Syrian situation. So Syria was gone into 2024, but what happened was 7th October 2023, the Gaza uprising began. It was a massive uprising, and Hamas did the right thing because they had to break the concentration camp. 17 years of a prison. Okay. But Netanyahu knew it was going to happen. That's a different, we'll have to do a special program on 7th October. I have a lot of facts out there. And once, the genocide began, Hezbollah stood up to defend Palestine. Okay. Hezbollah stood up to defend Palestine. And the Israelis started bombing civilian areas in Beirut and South Lebanon to target Hezbollah. And then we know the pager attack, wherein the mobiles and the pagers, they had placed bombs, micro bombs, which so many Hezbollah fighters got. They assassinated Syed Hassan Nasrallah. I went for the funeral, to attend the funeral, and in that big stadium, we had Israeli jet fighters flying over us, threatening, but people did not move from the stadium. Okay. So Hezbollah faced a lot of reverses, but I know, Hezbollah, the leadership, that they are very strong, they're very committed, and they've now re-emerged as a strong force, the way they've been fighting, Israel right now. And the deeper that Israel comes into Lebanon, the more in trouble they're going to get with Hezbollah. Hezbollah has time on its side, it'll keep on fighting, and finally Israel is going to get tired, as happened earlier also. The next big turning point comes with the 28th February attack on Iran. And I think that is Netanyahu's big mistake, big strategic mistake, where now Iran is directly involved in this entire war on Palestine and in Lebanon. I think you have a question, you can please go ahead.
Yes. So, Firoz bhai, the point is that whatever is happening in Lebanon means, what do you think that Israelis will do in the coming days? Because there is a MOU, and the Americans want to implement it, and the relationship of Israelis and the Americans, it is not good at the moment, and a lot of tension is there, and a lot of abuses by Trump on Benjamin Netanyahu. A lot of things are happening. So what do you think that means? Israelis are going to stop their attacks, or they'll continue, and this MOU will be jeopardized? What do you say?
Actually, right now the MOU is in trouble. See, there are two things happening, Sudhilamji. One is the JD Vance line, who wants MOU to succeed, and the other, the Marco Rubio line. JD Vance has understood that this war in Iran is a disaster, and we have to find another way out. But Marco Rubio is even more hardcore Israel, pro-Israel. So what happened in the last few days is Marco Rubio came to Kuwait, to Bahrain, UAE, he came and visited them. The second thing, we know that there is talk of a defense agreement emerging in West Asia, where Turkey, Egypt, Saudi, Pakistan, and Iran and all are coming together to have a regional defense agreement. But what has Trump done? He sent the CENTCOM chief, Brad Cooper, and had a meeting of all the Arab countries to create a regional defense pact minus Iran under American leadership. So here you have him talking with Iran, saying something else in the MOU, but there is something else on the side also. Now look at the 26th of June agreement with Israel and Lebanon. Okay, actually, as per the Lebanese constitution, you cannot talk directly to Lebanon. I mean, it's so difficult, I'll tell you, that once I wanted to organize a webinar, my Lebanese friend said that if you have anyone from Israel, I'll be in trouble, because I cannot talk directly to an Israeli, even online. There can be a treason case for me. So how is the president of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, and the prime minister of Lebanon, Nawaf Salam, who are very weak, both of them, okay, basically talking to Israel in Washington? And what is the agreement? The agreement is saying that Israel can stay in Lebanon till Hezbollah is disarmed. You actually signed away your sovereignty. Okay. And Hezbollah is saying that till Israel is there as a threat, how can I give up my weapons? It's just not, because, I mean, there have been presidents who have been Christian presidents who have said that the only defense of Lebanon is the resistance. If Hezbollah is not there, Israel will be sitting in Beirut after 2 days. Okay. So under Saudi pressure, under American pressure, all this stupid deal has been signed. But I'll tell you, there was a similar deal signed in 1983. Okay, 1983 also deal was signed with Israel, and it failed in the parliament. It went to the Lebanese parliament, and it failed over there. And in 84 they had to cancel the deal. Okay, so I believe that even this deal, when it goes to the Lebanese parliament, it will fail, because if this deal succeeds, it means you're going to have a civil war, and nobody wants a civil war in Lebanon. Okay, so I'll explain the breakup of the Lebanese parliament now. See, there are basically 128 seats. 128 seats in the parliament. Now 64 are for Christians and 64 are for the Sunni Shia and the Druze. Druze are also one sect of Islam. Now look at the imbalance. Today Christians are 35% of the population, but they're 50% of the seats. Christians are 35% of the population, but they control the army. The president of Lebanon and the army chief are Christians. This is all fixed. Okay. The Shias are the majority, they have the least seats. Okay. So one is the parliament. Interestingly, is the Lebanese army. The Lebanese army is very weak. The Americans said the Lebanese army should fight Hezbollah, but the Lebanese army has no air force. They don't have advanced weapons. They're not given proper weapons actually. So they are scared that those weapons will go to Hezbollah. Okay. But in the Lebanese army, the majority are Shia actually, because they come from working class families who wants to go to the army. Okay. And the Christians are basically maybe better educated. A lot of them have gone abroad. The population is going down, and but the soldiers are basically Shia and Sunni. They are not going to get involved in a civil war in Lebanon, how much ever you push them. The second part is that Nabi Berri, who is the speaker of, because the president is Christian, prime minister is Sunni, and the speaker of parliament is Shia. It's all fixed. That is the problem with the Lebanese constitution, that it's all, you have to think of a religious bloc itself. Your entire country is fixed in a Muslim, Christian, Sunni, Shia kind of diametric. Now in the parliament,
and is it that it is the only country in the world which has this kind of arrangement, or do you have any other country which has this some representation for Christians, some for Muslims, for Shias and Sunnis and all? I don't think that there is any country that exists with such a kind of arrangement.
in Iraq, they've done something now similar, again, because of the American pressure, where the president will be Kurdish, and the Kurds are mainly Sunni. The prime minister will be Shia, and and then there will be a deputy prime minister or a speaker who will be Sunni. Okay, so they prefer creating countries which are not secular, but totally stuck within a religious framework. So that is the problem with these. They are very secular. France is very secular. Britain will be very secular, but they will go and partition countries along religious lines. They have done that to India, Pakistan also, and then the kind of message they leave behind. Same with Israel, Palestine. Okay. Now trying to understand.
So we are at the end of the program. So
Okay.
we need to conclude. Means about the future of Lebanon. Means so far as the peace is concerned, and what is the solution? Means according to you, your studies or your understanding, what is the solution which you can put forward? Means on which lines the talk should go on the issue of Lebanon?
See, basically, it's not only about Lebanon, it's basically about Palestine. Palestine and Lebanon both have old histories and both are facing the same problem. So the problem for Israel is it wants to isolate Palestine from Hezbollah. You sit in Lebanon, you don't look over here. Hezbollah will not do that. It's telling Iran, you separate from the axis of resistance, Iran will not do that. So the solution is very simple. Either you go by the United Nations resolutions and create a two-state solution, and the Arabs are willing to accept it. They've accepted in 2001. Saudi plan is there that you create a two-state solution on the 1967 borders and we'll recognize Israel. All these Abraham Accords and all this all humbug. Okay. So either in October when Netanyahu loses the election, the way things are, he's going to lose. A new government comes that is talking the same language as Netanyahu, but I think there'll be more pressure from America and the West on finding a solution. So that gives space. Or if you get someone as crazy as Netanyahu, then it carries on that way. The other point is
so you think that the only solution is the two-state solution, and so the other forces should be compelled to accept that kind of means solution, which is already supported by UN.
Yes. So one is a two-state solution, which the Palestinians accepted, which everyone accepted. Okay. Hamas has also accepted in 2007. All right. So the point is that you accept a two-state solution, or then there'll be a larger war. Okay. It looks like we are heading there because the agenda for Israel is greater Israel. From Egypt to Iraq. That is the biblical project that Netanyahu and the other Jewish fanatics are proceeding. So if they want to go that way, then there'll be a war, and I don't think Israel is going to survive that war. It'll be end of Israel. Okay. So either the two-state solution, or then it is the end of Israel. That is what the two options are, because now Iran is too strong. Hezbollah knows how to fight. You cannot defeat Hamas because the Israeli people are saying, what have we achieved in the last 3 years? Hamas is still standing. We have done a genocide. We've isolated ourselves from the world. We are fighting Hezbollah. We are not going anywhere. We are not getting anywhere with it. With Iran, we have lost the war. So what has Netanyahu done? And today we are isolated in the world. In America, it is growing anti-Israel sentiment, as we all know. So that is where we are heading. The next 4 months are crucial. Netanyahu should lose the election. Then there is some hope of some political process moving ahead. And Trump will lose the midterms, and that will also bring about, because the anti-Israel lobby is actually losing. It's not only Trump. The Israel lobby is weakening in America, and that also gives hope for a political solution.
So the general narrative is that till the Lebanese problem is solved, there cannot be any solution for Palestine. Is it correct?
Till the what?
Yes, till the Lebanese problem is solved, there is no solution for the Palestine.
Yeah, it's all connected. It's all connected. You have to, I mean, you have to have Israeli moving up to Lebanon and Israel agreeing to a two-state solution in Palestine. It's as simple as that. Okay. But now Israel is talking of taking part.
And what happens to Board of Peace?
Board of Peace is not a Board of Peace. It's a Board of Tourism and Construction in Gaza, and it's a total rubbish agreement. Okay. The simple solution is Israel should withdraw from Gaza and from the West Bank. It should withdraw from Lebanon, agree to a two-state. I mean, the Palestinians have made a compromise. They are saying only 22% of historic Palestine. Only 22% of historic Palestine they're asking for. Now, 70% has gone. Which country agrees to a solution of that kind? So the Palestinians made the compromise, but the Israelis believe they are too strong. There's also crazy Jewish extremist mindset involved here, that God has given us this land and we will take, but now it's all falling apart. It's all falling apart because of the Iran war and the Gaza resistance and the Hezbollah resistance. It's all falling apart. They cannot sustain this.
So thank you very much, Firoz Mithiborwala ji, for such an insight into this problem of Lebanon. And we continue this dialogue in the one-to-one program of Bahujan Samvad. Thank you very much. And I request the viewers to just share it and also comment on the discussion so that we can carry forward this discussion. Thank you. Thank you very much, Firoz Mithiborwala and the viewers.